I've been hearing a lot about Amazon RDS. Do you know what it is?
Amazon Relational Database Service is a web service which makes it easy to set up, operate, and scale relational databases in the cloud. It allows you to create and use MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and Postgres databases in the cloud. This means the code, applications, and tools you already use today with your existing databases can be used with Amazon RDS.
What's the difference between Amazon RDS versus an on-site database?
Well, you get all of the same capabilities without worrying about the infrastructure provisioning, software maintenance, or common time-consuming database administration tasks. No long days setting up servers or configuring software and the numerous patches that have released since you got your installation file. This means you can spend less time on administration and more time focusing on your applications and customers. Amazon RDS DB instances are pre-configured with appropriate settings for the type you have selected. With a few clicks, you can launch a database and connect your application in minutes without additional configuration. If at any point you need additional capacity, you can easily scale your database's compute and storage resources with a web-based AWS Management Console or a simple API call. It can also make sure that the software powering your deployment stays up to date with the latest patches, and back up your database and transaction logs automatically. Here's a scenario. Your company hosts multiple conferences each year and has to manage presenter contracts, session abstracts, registrations, and logistical information for each event. You've already purchased a solution that has a MySQL database to store the data. You can launch your database in the AWS cloud using Amazon RDS so that your IT staff can spend more time onboarding users to the new system instead of maintaining the infrastructure. When traffic fluctuates up during the open call for abstracts or during the registration period, you can scale RDS to handle it. You only pay for what you consume, so you don't have to pay for additional storage until you need it. And when you do, it's just a few clicks in the web console.
Okay. How hard is it to actually do that?
It's easy. Let me show you how to launch a MySQL database using Amazon RDS. You can access Amazon RDS by using the AWS Management Console. Click the RDS icon on the AWS Management Console homepage. Click Launch a DB instance. First, you will get to select which database engine you would like to use. In our example, we're using MySQL, so click Select next to MySQL. Next, it asks us if we plan to use this database for production purposes. We'll select No since we're just testing it now. We can always come back and change this later when we're ready for production. Click Next Step. Now, we will select all of the details about our database instance. We can see that we've already selected the type of database engine to be used for this instance. We need to choose the license type associated with the database engine. For MySQL, we'll use the General Public License. Now, we'll choose the version number of the database engine to be used for this instance. Choose the instance class that you want to use. This defines the compute and memory capacity of the database instance. Now we'll specify if the database instance should have a standby deployed in another availability zone, also called an AZ. An AZ is a distinct physical location. You can think of them like data centers. Each availability zone is engineered to be isolated from failures in other availability zones. By launching instances in separate availability zones, you can protect your applications from the failure of a single location. If we were using this for production purposes, this option would have defaulted to Yes, because it is recommended to run a production RDS instance with a multi-AZ deployment since it offers high availability. Since we are just testing it, though, we'll choose No. The Auto Minor Version Upgrade option is where you choose if the database instance should receive automatic engine version upgrades when they are available. This is one of the great features of RDS, automatic patching and upgrading. We'll choose yes for now, but you can always turn it off later. Here we are going to allocate storage. This is the initial amount in gigabytes. You only pay for what you use, so you can set it lower now and increase it as needed. I'm going to set the minimum of 5 gigabytes. If you want to provision a minimum number of input-output operations per second this DB instance will support, you can check the Use Provisioned IOPS box. We won't use this in this example. Finally, let's get to the fun part, naming your instance and creating the master user. The database instance identifier is the unique key that identifies a database instance. It is stored as a lowercase string. Name the master user and give them a password. Click Next Step. Now we need to give additional configuration details. Input a name for the database when the instance is created. This is a label, not the actual MySQL database name. Specify the port number on which the database accepts connections. The standard port number for MySQL is 3306. Here it asks us to choose a VPC. A VPC is a virtual private cloud, or a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud that you could choose this database instance to be in. We're just going to use the default here. If it needs to be a part of a specific subnet, they will populate it here for you to choose from. We're just using the default here too. In this next option, select Yes if you want the database instance to be accessible from the public internet. Select No if you want it to be accessible only from within your private VPC network. Choose the availability zone that the database instance will be created in. Remember, an availability zone is a distinct physical location. People typically choose availability zones that are closest to their customers to improve latency. If we were launching a production database instance, we would want it to be in multiple availability zones for high availability and redundancy. Option groups contain options such as Oracle Enterprise Manager that you want attached to this database instance. Since there aren't any option groups compatible with our selected MySQL engine, a default option group will be created at launch. This section allows you to choose custom parameter groups and security groups. For now, we'll just use the defaults. Click Next Step. Now let's specify how we want to manage our database. Automatic backups are enabled by default. If we select No, it will disable them. We're going to leave this Yes so the backups will run. How many days do you want to retain your automatic backups? Let's choose 1 week or 7 days. That way we can roll back to a week ago if we need to. If you've enabled automatic backups, you can let them run at any time or select a preferred window of time. We'll set hours to 1 a.m. for half an hour. You can also choose the weekly time range when system maintenance can occur. We'll choose Sunday at 1 a.m. for 2 hours. Click Next Step. Review all of the information that you've selected during this wizard to make sure it is all correct and click Launch DB Instance. Now your database instance is being created. It takes a few minutes to fully load up, but if you want to check on it, you can click View Your DB Instances on the DB Instances page, or click Close and select Instances. We can see the status is creating and will change to Available when done. You may have to click the refresh icon to see that it is finished. Once the database is created, you can connect to it with various client software applications. Here, we're connecting to it using MySQL Workbench on Windows. Once we successfully connect, we can see the various schema objects and can now start manipulating our new RDS instance.
Cool. Is that easy with Oracle, SQL Server, or Postgres?
Yes, you choose the database that works best for your solution. Each type of relational database software has its own set of features, and AWS makes it easy to launch any of them. If you already have a database running on-premise, you can also choose to port it over to the AWS cloud to get all of the benefits.
Okay, now I've got to check it out.